Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another film review. And we're back with the final part in the legacy of Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 3. Now, this part, I'm going to give a little bit of credence towards the beginning of it for what the Joker comes out with, because he's absolutely right. This story kind of picks up from the last one, but with a lot of filler. I'll explain what I mean later, but let's just start off with exactly what happens. We find ourselves drawn towards the darker side of the story. Kara has just killed the Monitor, and the Anti-Monitor has basically won. But everyone's unclear on why the Anti-Monitor is so determined to destroy all of the Earths. Batman and a couple of superheroes soon go off to investigate into how this whole multiverse shenanigan happened in the first place, and after talking to John, one of the Lanterns, they soon learn that a guy called John Constantine had a big hand in the dice. After going into John's dreams during a seance, Batman soon discovers not only did John watch his whole world get destroyed by Darkseid, but he had a vengefulness against Darkseid for what had been achieved, and so used the Flash as a pawn and as a device of his own choosing. Now, Barry Allen had no clue of this. He didn't even have much of a recollection. I'm guessing this is due to the spell itself. But we watch John basically send Barry back in time to kill Darkseid as a baby, due to the fact that any other time in Darkseid's timeline it wouldn't work, as he's a fixed point in time, always destined to destroy everything in his path. Him being an infant is the only time it would work. Now, Barry chooses not to kill him on the spot, but what Barry doesn't realise is due to the spell that's been put upon him, it's already taking place. We later learn after the event of this that this is why the multiverse has grown so big. Due to Constantine messing with Darkseid's timeline, it has caused all the Earths to branch off of each other and begin to topple on top of each other. The Anti-Monitor has only come in to sweep out the Earths and essentially destroy them one by one, until they can be cured of what the Anti-Monitor sees as a cancer. Meanwhile, back in this nether space that all of the Earths have managed to escape to, Superman finds himself realizing that Lex Luthor is right, that the only way to destroy the Anti-Monitor is to use the sun itself. However, Kara is so burdened by the loss of her adoptive father, the Monitor, that she doesn't like the idea that she's just killed him, so she wants to avenge him and avenge herself by flying into the heart of the sun and destroying the Anti-Monitor. She manages to achieve this, and Superman begins to grieve over the loss of her, but she's not the only loss in this story, however. We get to a pinnacle point where Constantine and the rest of the group manage to procure a kind of genie in a bottle device that allows them to rewrite the whole multiverse until there's only one Earth left. One Earth, one solar system, that's it. However, for this to be achieved, one of them has to sacrifice their own life. Diana, Princess of Themyscira, decides that due to her immortality and her surviving constant conflict throughout this crisis, that she wants to give up her very own life so that people can step through into this new universe. After achieving this, we learn that at the end of the film, that Diana did survive and was reborn as herself in this new reality. All the superheroes find themselves walking through into this new dimension, all except for one. A man without a face from one of the other Earths is so objectified by the idea of a false reality that doesn't play to the laws that he knows, that he decides he would rather stay on Warworld and die then go into this new reality and live life again. We also watch John Constantine go into the darkness as he sees himself as a penance for everything that's happened, and he can't, no, he doesn't want to burden this new universe with his meddling. However, the Spectre points out to him that maybe there is a chance that he will survive into this new universe, howbeit maybe not in the conventional way. So, Justice League, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 3. What would I give this out of 10? Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, I think Joker was very right about one thing in this whole concept. Is this final part in the story really starts off with a lot of filler. We get filled on the death of the Monitor. We get filled in on a lot of stuff to do with the bad guys constantly roaming around the universe. Most importantly, their purpose to kind of interrupt everything feels a little bit all over the place. I'm really not sure how comfortable I am with the idea of Lex Luthor teaming up with the superheroes, especially when fair enough he comes up with a lot of the answers in this story, but he doesn't really add much to the group, nor does the Joker. The Joker's just kind of in the background as comedy lark. I feel like if we'd finished Crisis with just all the superheroes, I could have accepted it, but this idea that the villains come in just to be there feels a lot out of place. I can also appreciate the sacrifice of Supergirl and Diana. I feel like they're very strong points in this whole story. I also like the idea of there being multiple monitors and the fact that they can't keep fighting them. The idea of them fighting an infinite amount of monitors, anti-monitors, I mean to say, is just insurmountable to this idea that they definitely wouldn't win. However, this reset problem as well really plays into my scoring on this film. I appreciate the idea that we learn that Diana survived at the end of the story. However, I do feel robbed of this idea that you're telling us that this is a new world with one reality, one story. So why can't we see the rest of them? I feel like the idea of us being left on this loose cannon idea that maybe a lot of them survived and are just getting on with their business is a pretty dull one, in my opinion. Not only because it leaves more questions than answers, but honestly, it now makes me understand why Crisis on Infinite Earths was maybe tweaked a little bit for The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl. Not only because this story basically just offers you a rewrite reset button, but at least when we get to like the Flash series that they made, you're left with this idea of actually understanding that you have all these different versions of people all living on Earth 2. That makes more sense than a reset button in which you pretty much are telling us that this prime Earth that you've given us is the only answer to this problem. And for that reason, I give Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next film review. Until then, goodbye, stay beautiful, you beautiful people.